All right, today's movie is 2009's A Princess of Mars. Now, this is not the Disney movie John Carter of Mars. It's based on the same story, though. I have been a big fan of the Edgar Rice Burroughs Barsoom novels since I was a kid. Barsoom is the name of Mars. And so when I heard that Disney was making a movie, I was really excited for it. And the movie's pretty decent. But Disney apparently did not have any confidence in it. They barely advertised it, and I was really looking forward to getting tons of action figures. But they decided not to release any. So that was really frustrating. But because it's in public domain, the original novel came out in 1917, I believe. I think it was serialized before a couple years before that. So because it was in public domain, that means anybody could make an adaptation of it. So in comes The Asylum. Now, I usually don't bother with Asylum movies because they're usually boring. If you're not familiar with The Asylum, they make what they call mockbusters, and they are basically, when a movie comes out, they make another movie with a similar title and rush it out very cheaply just to try and get people to watch it because either they get confused or they'll think it's funny that it's a similar title. I don't bother with them because they're usually boring. So they've had things like when Pacific Rim came out, they had Atlantic Rim. I know that they had a Cloverfield knockoff. They also did, went back when Will Smith, the movie I Am Legend came out. They did one called I Am Omega. And that's, the title, that's kind of clever because the story that I Am Legend is based on was previously adapted as a Omega Man. So the Asylum's like I Am Omega. But like I said, they're usually pretty bad. This one, though, I kind of liked. So they made some good choices, I think, in updating the film. Because the original story is, as I said, it came out in 1917, so it's a little dated. The main character, John Carter, he is a gentleman from Virginia. And it's strongly, I don't think it's ever quite said, but it's definitely implied that he fought for the Confederacy. And that's not cool. And so the storyline is that he had, fought for the Confederacy. And then after the Civil War, he went out west to try and make his fortune. He was at a gold mine and he gets ambushed. He crawls into a cave, and it happens to be a magical cave, and he gets sent to Mars. And Mars is a planet where he has to rescue a princess. And they have the main humans on there are red-skinned, but they're actually red, so it's not like an offensive thing. But they're also green Martians. In later books, he introduces other skin colors. But they're really fun, and they're pretty clever. So Disney stuck pretty close to this by keeping it in that time period. I'm sure that they kind of ignored the Confederacy part. The Asylum does what I think is a smart move here. They move it up to contemporary times. So instead of being a soldier for the Confederacy, our star is a soldier in Afghanistan. And I should say our star is Antonio Sabato Jr. Not great. And Dejah Thoris is the princess of Mars. She's supposed to be the most beautiful woman ever. They got Tracy Lords. But anyway, so they made the movie set in modern day. And instead of finding a cave, which magically does it, they turn it into some sort of techno babble. He gets wounded, and they're like, well, you're in the military, so you've already signed away your life, so we're going to do this experiment on you and send you to another planet. And they also wisely don't make it Mars. They say it's Mars, but they say it's a Mars in another solar system. It's the fourth planet of this other star. And I think that's a good idea because back in 1917, it was plausible that there was intelligent life on Mars. Now we don't think that's possible. So by making it another planet that's also called Mars, that's pretty good. Now, all the changes aren't great. In the books, the green Martians are like 9 feet tall, or maybe 10 feet tall, and they have 4 arms. Not forearms. They actually have 4 arms. They're 4 forearms because they have 4 individual arms. Anyway, they can't afford to do that in an Asylum movie, so they just make them regular 2-arm people. They have masks on, and the design of the masks aren't too bad because one of the features of the green Martians is they have tusks. And so they look okay. They didn't do a great job of applying them because there are definitely lots of times you can see that they did not like glue down around the eyes. So you can just see the plastic there. They also did not do a good job on the costuming. Now, the clothes that the green Martians wear are fine, but they did not tailor them at all. So there are lots of scenes where the guys, the secondary Martians, their clothes are just hanging off of them. They're super baggy. There's scenes when you can see the pants are way too long on them. It just looks cheap. And speaking of cheap, another thing is the location. So they filmed this outside of LA at Vasquez Rocks. Vasquez Rocks, if you don't know the name, I am willing to bet you've seen them before because they are in a ton of TV shows and movies. So sort of most famously in my mind, the episode of the original Star Trek where Kirk has to fight the Gorn, the lizard guy. And they show that rock in this movie a lot. And it's like, come on, guys. We've all seen that rock. We know it's not on another planet. It's very, very striking, but that's why it's been used so much. Now, the acting isn't that great. The special effects are pretty terrible. But if you're like me, if you're a big fan of the books, and you did like the Disney movie, I think this is worth taking a look at. So, I am going to give the Asylum's version of A Princess of Mars 3 thumbs up. If you are a fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs, then it ain't not too bad. Like and subscribe, and hit that bell.